Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about what the world needs from you. Before I get into that, if you get something from this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon on YouTube, and leave any comments or questions below. What does the world need from you as a spiritual or awake person? What it really needs is for you to be okay, for you to be happy and loving, for you to not be constantly stressed out. I mention this because on my social media, and maybe on yours too, I see a lot of talk about productivity and people talking about different ways to be more productive, to get up earlier, to take a cold shower, to use certain kinds of foods and supplements to ramp up the activity of your brain and to be more and more productive and get more and more done in a day. And I get it. My life would be very different if, let's say, I was more productive than I am, if I were getting more done than I am. But I have to say that my sense or my feeling is we don't really need more human productivity. I think we're producing more than enough. Probably actually too much. I think we human beings are producing a lot of stuff that really, it would probably be better for us and the planet ultimately if these things weren't produced. So for me, I don't think the planet and ultimately other people really need us to be more productive than we are. Of course, we all want to be more productive, right? Because usually that means more money in the bank, more recognition, more fame, more appreciation. If we can get the work of 3 people done and we're one person, we're very valuable, aren't we? A company is going to hire us, they're going to promote us, they're going to give us a raise. We all love that, don't we? Someone who can get a lot done. But I don't think that's what the world needs right now. Now, I'm not trying to make you feel bad if you're a productive person. Some people are naturally very, very productive. They get a lot done. And they can do that without stressing out. They can do that without losing their peace. They can do that, and maybe it actually even brings them joy. So these aren't the people I'm talking to or talking about. I think the problem for most of us is these people are held out as examples. And then the rest of us try and emulate them and mimic them and follow them. And since it isn't really in our nature to be like that, we end up stressed out. We end up unhappy. We end up losing our peace and our joy. And so we're chasing it because we tell ourselves, well, if I could be more like this person, I don't know, Steve Jobs or some big CEO we might read about, how they spent their time in their day. They only slept 1 hour. They got up at 3 a.m. in the morning. They took cold showers, they only ate vegetables, and they were super ultra productive. And we might think that if we could be like them, then we would be happy, because then we would be the CEO of Apple or whatever great company. Then we could write the book we always wanted to write. Then we could achieve whatever goal it is that we were wanting to achieve. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pursue your goals and dreams. But from my perspective, my sense is the world needs you peaceful. It needs you to be okay, for lack of a better way of putting it. So telling ourselves that we're not okay, that we need to be more productive, that we need to be something other than what we are, to a degree is problematic. Now, I'm not saying we want to make excuses for ourselves. I think part of being awake, my experience of it, is becoming acutely aware of my humanness and my frailty as a human, my weakness as a human, my deficiencies, you might say, as a human being. Spirituality for me is not about trying to deny these things. And even though I might try and fix, you might say, these things, fix them in myself, I find that that's not always possible. And I gave another talk about everyone doing the best that they can. And this has been my experience. And this is what I've seen. And I think when we try too hard to be something that we're not, or something that we're not ready to be, this can create great distortions and even more ugliness within the ego structure and a personality. So my feeling is to practice compassion and forgiveness with ourselves. So we may find when we start meditating and becoming more aware that there are things that we would like to change about ourselves. And then we might get very frustrated at a certain point that even though we see these quote-unquote problems with our personality, that we are unable to do anything about them. We are unable to get rid of them. And this is sometimes why I say compassion truly starts with us. Forgiveness truly starts with us. When we recognize our powerlessness, then we can open ourselves up to grace. And grace is something that may or may not come. And it may or may not come when we want it to. And it could be that the things that we see as deficiencies in our character, maybe they aren't. Maybe they are just things that culturally are not in vogue at this time. And sometimes when I speak about this, I like to point to agrarian cultures, I should say, farming cultures, where generally it is not okay for women to be strong, to accomplish a lot. Very often women are encouraged to be more docile, to be subservient to their husbands, to serve their husbands, not to have an opinion. So this goes very much against the way we in the West think a woman should be. But what if you were an opinionated, strong, smart woman born in the United States 300 years ago? Or a woman like that born in certain parts of Asia today? Does that mean you're evil? Just because your parents might say, stop having such a strong opinion? Does that mean you're a bad person? But you might feel bad, you might feel guilty, and you might even pray to God. You might hope for grace to change you. But that grace may not come because there might actually not be anything wrong with you. There might be something wrong with the view of the culture that you live in at that time. So this is important to understand, that we don't have the big picture. And this is why we stop judging ourselves and we stop judging others, because we don't know. And in my own experience, I have actually seen for myself that everything is exactly as it needs to be. Nothing is out of place. And this is not something that we can access with our normal, ordinary viewpoint. This is a spiritual viewpoint. This is something that, again, grace can show to us. But it isn't something that the human mind, you might say, naturally sees or views. So this is truth that transcends our limited point of view. All right? So again, I think from my perspective, what the world really needs from you, the gift that you could give to the world right now, is a happy, joyful, peaceful you. A you that is okay. A you that is not upset with politics, not upset with the travesties that are being done to the planet. Again, I'm not saying that there are not problems and that I don't recognize these problems. But while I can do my small part to try and change them, this is really all that I can do. And for me to carry around the burden of what humanity is doing to this planet does not help. In fact, again, from my perspective, you're actually hurting. You're becoming a part of the problem. So, through whatever means that you have, try and find your peace and your joy. Now, if you're not sure how to do that, yoga gives us many, many tools to help us find that. And we all have rough times in our lives. I'm going through a very difficult time right now. But even in the difficult times, I have a lot of joy and a lot of peace. And I know sooner or later, I will come back to my default state where I am just so full of joy and gratitude for every breath and every moment in this life. And again, I think this is what the world needs from you. So, by all means, continue with the work that you're doing. If you are an activist, you are trying to change politics, you're trying to change the education system, the medical system, you're trying to change systematic racism or sexism, whatever it is that you're doing, you feel called to do, that's a beautiful thing. And please continue. But do it with peace and joy in your heart. And if you can't, then my recommendation is stop what you're doing. Take that time that you were devoting to whatever cause it was that you were devoting, that time and that energy and that money, and devote it to really nourishing your own self-love and peace and compassion for yourself. Because when you have that, it starts to radiate out to others. And they feel it. At least the people who are open to it feel it. All right, everyone. I hope you got something from that. And if you did, you know how you can help me out as well. Thank you so much. Namaste.